First question of the night: were women allowed in the synagogue in the first century? The idea of a synagogue is pretty well known to Christians because it comes up so often in the New Testament. Most of us have a general idea of what the synagogue was. It was basically a local place of worship. It was not a place for offering sacrifices or anything like that. The Jews certainly understood that. The sacrifices were offered in the temple when it was available to them during the Babylonian captivity. When synagogues first developed, of course, there was no temple, and so there were no sacrifices being offered during that time. But after the Babylonian captivity, synagogues became a pretty regular fixture throughout Judaism. So wherever you found Jews, generally you would find a synagogue. According to the Talmud, and I'll be referencing the Talmud several times tonight, the Talmud is just a rabbinical commentary. It is a commentary from learned rabbis on the Old Testament, especially the Pentateuch, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And so if you want to know what Jews think about any of those passages, the Talmud would be a place to go. According to the Talmud, though, a synagogue would require at least 10 men in order to be established. And they based that on Numbers chapter 14. Remember, the 12 spies had gone into the land. 10 of them brought back an evil report. And the record uses the terminology in Numbers chapter 14 that this evil congregation rejected God. And so the rabbis took that to mean that it would take 10 people in order to establish a synagogue in any town. And so that was, 10 men specifically, 10 Jewish men to establish a synagogue. And so that's kind of the background. That's where synagogues came from. They were, again, local places of worship where they would read the law, they would expound on it, they would teach about the law, they would gather for prayer and those sorts of things. The question, of course, were women allowed in the synagogue in the first century? Again, according to the Talmud, the New Testament doesn't shed any light on this, but according to the Talmud, they were allowed in the synagogue, but they were segregated from men. And so men on one side, women on the other, sometimes men at the front, women at the back, sometimes separated by a curtain, depending on the area. But yeah, they were allowed, but they were segregated and they were not allowed to participate in the worship, which is still the case, by the way, in Orthodox Judaism in this day and time. So, were they allowed? Yes, but